everyone, welcome back to iQuanta's YouTube classroom, and this is day 3 where we're going to solve JIPMAT 2024 paper because we've already solved 22 and paper 23, JIPMAT 23. So, yep, I hope you're following the papers because that's important. I've already mentioned all the importance it holds. I've mentioned that. So I hope you all are in that phase जहाँ आपको लग रहा है कि yes, I'll be able to do it, I'll be able to make through. And even if you're in that phase जहाँ आपको लग रहा है अरे यार मैं why do I even exist, existential crisis and the phase where we have a lot of doubts, happens with everybody. You're not alone, and it is not only about being alone, but it is also about that कि you will get through this. Right? This phase will not last longer, and you'll get through it. Just give your 100%. Whatever you can do everything possible. Right? उसके बाद just leave everything, right, on God. बस अपनी मेहनत करते जाओ, ठीक है? With this note, with this positive note, that just give your 100% and leave the rest. With this note, let's begin, and this is question number 1, which says, which of the following words cannot be formed from the letters of the word infrastructure? So let's see, infrastructure. अब आपको पता है इसमें कौन कौन से words हैं? Nature, character, fracture, restrain. Okay. जैसे ही पढ़ोगे आपको पता है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में N आता है, NATURE सब दिख रहा है. कैरेक्टर CH है क्या? C तो दिख रहा है, but there's no H, so this is very easy to solve. This is one question which will just give you free K marks. So yeah, be very, very careful. Which of the following is the synonym of the word term hackneyed? The pronunciation is hackneyed. So hackneyed is basically something boring because it has been used too often. That is hackneyed. Important, if it's boring, then why would it be important? And then they're not similar words. Horrible, of course not. Heightened, no. Something that's boring, why would it be heightened? You might highlight something that's boring, but because you might just shout that's boring, but heightened, no. Cliched, yes, cliched could be the correct synonym, because cliched actually means that there's lack of originality, based on frequently used repeated phrases maybe, or opinions. Something is being repeated. So yeah, that could be quite similar to hackneyed. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so C is the synonym. Question number 3 says, pick the correct antonym for the term dilate. Okay, so dilate basically is widen. It is widen. Okay. So dilute, the term dilute means weaken, right? It means कि आपने, for example, you mix water in some heavier, okay, so for example, you mix coconut oil in castor oil, so you dilute it, right? You kind of weaken the thickness of castor oil by mixing coconut oil. So weaken करना. So widen, weaken antonym नहीं है, synonym नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है, right? They're like two different words. Differentiate is to distinguish, right? So again, against widen, no, not even a synonym, not even an antonym. So we can rule it out. Contract. So dilate is like widen. Contract is contract. So this is the antonym, and expand is the synonym for the word dilate. So yeah. Next, pick the best substitute for the following expression. The expression is one who does not care for literature or art. Okay, so this is the statement that there's someone who does not care about literature or art. So we need to find out. For that, we'll have to know the meaning of dictator, hypocrite, Philistine or Philistine or primitive. Okay, all right. So let's talk about it. So basically, a person who does not care for, or maybe does not understand, or maybe does not appreciate, or maybe does not give much importance to literature, art, or what do we say, intellectual pursuits, is actually commonly called Philistine, okay, or Philistine. So C is the correct answer here. But what about dictator? What is dictator? Dictator basically is a ruler with, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so that's a ruler. That's a ruler with total, what do we say? Total absolute power over a country, right? And typically, who has obtained power by force, right? That's a dictator. And if we talk about a hypocrite is basically a person basically who basically pretends a person who pretends that they have very higher morals, higher standards, very high virtues, very high beliefs, very high values, very high ethics, but in reality, but actually, it's the opposite. So yeah, they just pretend to be like that they have such things, yeah, and they do not possess that in reality. So that's a hypocrite. Then there's primitive. So primitive is something belonging to an what do we say, early stage of development, or something relating to ancient times. That's primitive. So definitely one who does not care for literature or art has to be Philistine. So even if you do not know the meaning of Philistine, because dictator, hypocrite, primitive, these are some words that we have commonly read, especially dictator and hypocrite, and primitive is kind of a word which is used very commonly. So yes, Philistine has to be the answer. Yeah, so next question says, pick the correct meaning of the phrase ultra vires. Okay. Well, ultra, if we talk about this word ultra vires, it's basically an adjective. An adjective which means acting or done beyond one's legal power. So beyond, so it is done out of, it's like doing something which is not in your power, but you do it, right? Something that's not in your possession, not your legal possession, but you still do it. अभी इतना मैंने बोल दिया तो now definitely you know the answer, right? कि आपकी authority में कुछ नहीं है, आप legally आपकी power में नहीं है, and you do that particular thing, right? So beyond jurisdiction is the correct answer. Within authority उल्टा हो जाएगा. Contagious disease नहीं, internet virus no. So अगर हम एक तो हमने adjective की तरह बात की, but ultra vires can also be an adverb, which means beyond one's legal power or authority. So adjective में it's like done, and adverb में it's like, you know, beyond legal power or authority, like it exists, something exists beyond your, you know, power. So adjective or adverb का difference है, means kind of the same, but one is done and one is like having. Pick the word with the correct spelling. Disease, disease, disease. So they are actually asking us the spelling of disease, जो कि यहाँ दी गई है साफ साफ. So we know that D is the correct answer. Well, okay. Pick the odd one out from the following options: plan for, plan on, plan out, and plan in. That means they are asking us for a term which is idiomatically incorrect, right? And plan in sounds one of them, but let's see. So basically plan for is to, you know, make arrangements or, you know, preparations for something, for an event or something like that. You know, if you plan for, let's say you're planning for your wedding, because that is going to happen in the future, it is expected in the future, so you plan for it. So A means that planning for something, you know, to make arrangements or preparations for something. Then there's plan on. Plan on is basically to you know, intend to do something, right? That I plan on watching a movie tonight, right? So you basically intend on doing something, to basically to expect something, right? So for example, you ask your friend, do you plan on gifting me a nice watch? Well, so yeah, that's B, so it has a meaning. Then there's plan out. Plan out is to, you know, to carefully think through, right? And you know, organize, carefully think through and organize all the what do we say, all the things, whatever it is. So yeah, so that also has a meaning. But plan in is not commonly used alone, you know, it's not commonly used alone as a phrasal verb, right? British usage may plan in is basically to schedule something within a time frame, right? For example, जैसे ले सकते हैं हम, we need to, let's say we need to plan in some time for revision, for example. So, but we do not follow British English, so we can rule it out, and hence D is the correct answer here. Yeah, so okay. The idiom a gentleman at large means, okay, a man in the crowd, a man without a job, okay. A gentleman at large का मतलब है a man without employment. So B says a man without a job. So yeah, this is the correct answer. A man who runs around, a man who is generous. No, these are not the correct options here, so we can rule them out. 9th, pick the active voice of the following sentence. The national anthem is being sung by the players. The players, okay, let's see. Up इस particular sentence में the tense used here is present continuous passive, जो हमें ढूंढना है, ठीक है? Because active voice, passive में दिया है और हमें we need to find out the active. So present continuous in passive form. So let's see, अपने को उसी तरीके का sentence ढूंढना है. The players were singing, so is being sung लिखा है, right? So present, were नहीं आएगा, A can be rolled out. The players are singing the national anthem, that's absolutely right. प्रेजेंट कॉन्टिन्यूस टेंस को रिटेन करता है एंड हमें यही करना होता है. वी जस्ट हैव टू चेंज द सब्जेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट. तो सही है. द प्लेयर्स सिंग द नेशनल एंथम. ये तो जेनेरिक हो गया. आर सिंगिंग बिकॉज इट्स लाइक यू नो it's going in the present. The players have sung. No, we do not want to write that. Continuous form चाहिए अपने को, and hence B is the correct answer. Pick the correct option to complete the following sentence. All the students and teachers dash this book. Okay, students and teachers. So subject जो है यहाँ पर, just 1 second. Yep. So the subject, sorry, here is all the students and teachers, right? So all the students and teachers, that means the subject here is plural, right? तो अब अपने को प्लूरल है तो वर्ब भी प्लूरल ढूंढना होगा. तो ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स एंड टीचर्स लाइक दिस बुक. लाइक्स तो गलत हो जाएगा, सिंगुलर हो जाएगा, राइट? सो लाइक इज द करेक्ट आंसर. टीचर्स लाइकिंग दिस बुक आर लाइक, दैट्स एब्सोल्युटली रबिश. So yeah, B is the correct answer here. Which of the following options is the correct meaning of the underlined phrase in the following sentence? ठीक है, अपने को correct meaning ढूंढना है public purse का. Let's understand what is written. Should spending on the arts be met out of the public purse? Okay. Public purse का मतलब होता है, public purse is basically or are basically the funds raised by a government by taxation. So or let's say or other means, but you know taxation से होता है वो. So it's kind of, you know, what do we say, so it's like government's money, though taxation is in one way or the other. You know, taxation, tax कहाँ से आता है? So but the funds are government's money, right? That's how the government work, you know. So from the sum collected from the public donation, no, it's not donation, from the purse of the art enthusiast, that's not true. From the money meant to be distributed to the poor and needy, no, that's not true. From the government money, yep, true. Though tax is like, you know, tax is what we give, so it's the part of our income that we give to the government in order to, you know, make the country a better place to live. Yeah. So but it is the government's money. So 12, pick the passive equivalent of the following sentence. ठीक है जी. The taxi will drop you at the airport. Future tense, right? So we need to retain the future tense यहाँ पे. The taxi at the airport will be dropping you. We do not need dropping here, right? So we can rule it out. Plus the subject object wala problem. Dropping you at the airport will be done by the taxi. It's like A is more active, B is passive, but dropping you at the airport will be done by the taxi that's a very awkward structure. But dropping is not a necessity here. It's not a necessity here, right? So it isn't a necessity. So why do we use it? We need to retain future tense, not future continuous tense. So B can also be ruled out. The taxi is dropping you at the airport. That's not passive. You will be dropped at the airport by the taxi. तो subject object को यहाँ पे change किया गया है and the future tense is also retained here, right? So D is the correct answer for 12. Okay. Identify the error in the sentence given below having 3 components marked as 1, 2 and 3. I was disappointed when, okay, sounds kind of good, that I was disappointed when I came for seeing you last evening. I came for seeing you. For seeing you wasn't required. So I came to see you last evening. So obviously there's an error. I came for seeing you. I came to see you would be better, the correct answer. So yes, B is the correct answer here, but could not find you at home. That's absolutely fine. I came to see you last evening, but could not find you at home. So that's perfect. Second is the correct answer. Choose the option which best replaces the underlined phrase in the following sentence. In a few minutes time, when the clock strikes 6, I would be waiting here for an hour. Okay, I would be waiting को हमें change करना है. So I shall be waiting, right? I shall have been waiting. I shall wait, or no improvement. So definitely we can put future perfect continuous tense, and shall have strike 6. I shall have been waiting would be the correct answer here, right? We need future perfect continuous tense. So because we are saying in a few minutes time, when the clock strikes 6, I shall have been waiting here for an hour. तो ऐसा हो जाए, कुछ देर में ऐसा हो जाए. So future perfect continuous tense, ये चल रहा है ये, right? So B is the correct answer. I shall be waiting for you. That's a different sense, right? Okay. Pick the most appropriate punctuation mark for the following sentence. There goes the bell. Okay, there goes the bell. It basically expresses, sudden realization. है ना? तो full stop, no. Question mark, nap. Colon, na. Exclamation, perfect. So C is the correct answer here. 1 क्यों लगा exclamation mark पे? Okay, sorry. Okay, out of the given options, pick one which best expresses the following sentence in indirect speech. Okay, indirect speech में, because it is in direct speech right now. Focus. Indirect, direct में focus करना होता है, ठीक है? Alright, so the coach said, well done, you have made me proud. Alright, okay. So let's talk about the steps here. So let's talk about the step 1. First we need to understand the type of question, है ना? So यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? Well done. So well done लिखा है, तो it is basically the expression of praise, to be very, very precise, right? So well done, it is an expression of praise. I hope, yeah, it is going straight, I have to be very, very focused while writing, because otherwise I write very, I write it in a very unorganized manner. Well, so well done hai, and it is an expression of praise. So it's basically like when we go to the other part, it says you have made me proud, and it is in what? present perfect tense. ठीक है, यू हैव मेड मी प्राउड. अब वेल डन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ प्रेज है, तो अपने को क्या देखना है, रिपोर्टिंग वर्ब. वेल डन, यू हैव मेड मी प्राउड, सेकंड पार्ट को देखना है अपन. ठीक है, यू हैव मेड, ये आपको माइंड में करना है, बट आई एम राइटिंग इट सो दैट इट बिकम्स वेरी वेरी क्लियर. और रिपोर्टिंग वर्ब क्या है, सेड. हियर said, तो ये क्या है, past tense. ठीक है, ठीक है, अपन ने इतना रिकॉग्नाइज कर लिया. अब स्टेप टू में वेल डन को अपन चेंज करेंगे. तो हम देख सकते हैं they've changed it to अपलोड, राइट. अपलोड, प्रेज्ड भी लिख सकते हैं वैसे तो वेल डन इज चेंज टू अपलोड. ठीक है, why? Because we remove the this particular mark, exclamation, we remove the exclamation and we use a suitable what do we say, reporting verb here. तो अपन ने वो कर लिया, अपलोड चूज करेंगे अपन, अपलोडेड चूज करेंगे एक्चुअली, if we align to the particular tense also. So अपलोडेड चूज करेंगे अपन, राइट. सो अपन बी को आसानी से रूल आउट कर सकते हैं. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट स्टेप 3. इन स्टेप 3 यू चेंज द टेंस, राइट. एंड अपन क्या करते हैं, बैक शिफ्ट रूल. हाँ, टेंस को चेंज करेंगे. तो यहाँ पे ओरिजिनल क्या था, यू हैव मेड मी प्राउड, तो वो क्या था, प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट टेंस था. Now, since the reporting verb here is in past tense, which is said, तो अपन present perfect को बना देंगे past perfect. ठीक है, और have made है, हाँ, have made हो जाएगा had, right? had made, क्योंकि अपन पास्ट परफेक्ट में प्रेजेंट परफेक्ट को पास्ट परफेक्ट में चेंज कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, अब जगह नहीं बची लिखने की. ठीक है, तो मैं बोल के बताती हूँ. तो स्टेप 4 में हम क्या करेंगे, वी विल चेंज द प्रोनाउन. जो प्रोनाउन चेंज करने के लिए वील सी दैट यू इज रिटन हियर. यू बेसिकली रेफर्स टू द प्लेयर्स, सो इट बिकम्स ही. Yeah, so you is related to, it belongs to, it refers to the player, so it becomes he. Pronoun का लिख रहे हैं यहाँ पे, you becomes he, right. And me if you see here, me is the coach, it refers to the coach. So me becomes him, right. So now the clause actually becomes that he made him proud, right. He made him, or he had made him, because past perfect, so he had made him proud. ठीक है, तो let's have a look at all of the options. A says the coach applauded and said that he has made. So has made, there's no back shift, had made होना चाहिए. तो A can be ruled out, right. B can as it is be ruled out because applauds लिखा है, right. और present tense में इन्होंने दिया है, तो that's wrong. तो well done that, now grammatically incorrect structure हो गया ये. Well done that applauds and says well done that, so we can rule it out. That was not very this option, that was not very right. Applauds, the tense. C says the coach applauded and says applauded and says well done and that he has. अब ये structure ही, it's very weird, so the structure is very incorrect, so we can rule out C as well. D says the coach applauded, perfect, applauded and said that he had made him proud. तो tense, pronoun, सब कुछ यहाँ पे aligned है, and hence D is the correct answer. ठीक है, according to all the steps, expression of praise, applauded कर दिया, tense change कर दिया, pronoun भी perfect है, so D is the correct answer. Let me mark it so that you guys do not get confused. Direct, indirect may we kind of take a lot of time to solve them. But yes, these are the steps, you know. You need to see the statement, you need to see what all needs to be changed, the tense, the reporting verb, the pronouns. So, yep. Okay, choose the option which best replaces the underlined phrase. When Dr. Sapra came to the school in 1995, Dr. Anand had already been teaching there since 5 years. Okay. अब सबसे पहले समझो, because there's since and they've underlined that particular, you know, statement, the particular part. तो सबसे पहले अब अपने को पता है कि since और form वाला since और for वाला प्रॉब्लम है यहाँ पे. तो सबसे पहले समझो कि since क्यों यूज किया जाता है. Since is basically a starting point. ठीक है, एक starting point कि when a particular thing, when something began, right? It's the beginning. I'm so sorry, whatever. So when something began, right? Starting point. Examples भी दूंगी, रुक जाओ अभी. और for क्या होता है? For is for the duration of time, right? Duration of time, right? That how long something continued, right? कितने समय से हो रहा है. The duration of time. So since basically answers since when, right? So अगर हम since की बात करें तो since plus point of time. For example, since 2020, since Monday, since 5 a.m. We are friends since childhood, right? And for basically refers to a period or length of time, है ना? तो it basically answers that for how long. That is what for answers. So structure इसका होता है for plus duration. जैसे since में since plus point of time, for में for plus duration. So for example, for 5 years, you will never say for since 5 years. You would never say that. You would say since 5 a.m. 5 a.m. say, because that's the point of time. Right? Since 1999, because that's the point of time. That's not the duration of time. Right? I have been living on this earth for 25 years. That's the duration of time. That is why I have used for. So for 5 years, for 2 hours, for a long time, for several years, for several days, for ages. इसके लिए अपन for use करें. तो अपन एक गलती तो यही पकड़ सकते हैं यहाँ पे, for 5 years लिख दिया इन्होंने, since 5 years लिख दिया. होना क्या चाहिए? for 5 years होना चाहिए. तो D और C तो ऐसे ही अपन ने रूल आउट कर दिए यहाँ पे. ठीक है. दूसरा yeah. So Dr. Sapra came to the school in 1995. Dr. Anand had already been. Dr. Anand have already been. So A तो रिटेन नहीं कर रहा आपने इसको, right? टेंस पैरेललिज्म खो दिया have already been ने. तो had already been teaching there for 5 years, and hence B is the correct answer. तो A को अपन टेंस पैरेललिज्म की वजह से रिजेक्ट कर सकते हैं, right? Okay. Oh, nice. ठीक है, चलो. Are people dash because there's one written, so they will ask you something related to this. So are people dash or even typically guided by reason rather than say by passion or impulse if the norm of rational behavior are not followed by people in their actual behavior? How can we speak the same answer to two rather different questions? What would be rational for a person to do, and what would be the person actually do? What would the person actually do? Shouldn't the economist who makes such double use of maximization, whether through explicit reasoning dash by implicit presumptions, be invited to apply their minds toward this? ठीक है? A number of economists have indeed paid attention to systematic departure of rationality in actual choices made by people. One argument that have been invoked in a line of reasoning proposed by Herbert Simon goes by the name of bonded rationality. It concerns the possibility that people may not in all cases look for fully dash choices because of the inability to be sufficiently focused. That is considerable evidence powerfully represented, for example, dash Kamenz, Slovic and Tversky, that people may fail to understand adequately the nature of the uncertainty. These are the names given here: Tversky or Slovic, Kahneman, all of these. So basically this passage is kind of talking about the people's decision, people, how rationally they react, how irrationally they react, right? That whatever, they do, is it guided by, passion or impulse decisions होते हैं, किस क्या होता है, like their behavior and everything. So as you can see that in this passage, they have, given the blanks and they've written in Roman number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm sure that you need to fill these blanks, right? So you'll have to, as it is, come back to these, statements. So they say pick the most appropriate word to fill one in the given passage. ठीक है? So invariably, invariable, invariably, invariability, ठीक है? स्पेलिंग भी गलत है एक में, तो लेट्स सी. एक तो हम एज इट इज रूल आउट कर सकते हैं. तो लेट्स सी, आर पीपल dash or even typically. So I think invariably, because that's an adverb and adverb is needed here, because invariably actually means that almost always, right? So are people almost always or even typically guided by reasons? So invariably would be the correct answer, which is B, because iski spelling to galat hai. Yeah. Okay. Pick the most appropriate word to fill in to in the given passage, and or along instead. Okay, let's see. So such double use of maximization, whether through explicit reasoning dash by implicit presumptions. Explicit reasoning basically बहुत ही explicitly given, straight up. Implicit presumptions, implicit is something that is not stated but it is implied. मतलब कहा नहीं गया है but ऐसा हो सकता है, या फिर you can just understand it by logic and evidence. That's implicit. Implicit is something which is not stated directly, right? But it is, it's there. Explicit, right there in front of you. So yeah, we are on question number 19. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So explicit reasoning or by implicit presumption. So definitely a conjunction is needed here, right? Whether through explicit reasoning or implicit presumption. So that is why. So or is the correct answer here. 2 says pick the most appropriate word to fill third one: rational, rationale, rationally and rationality. Okay, let's see. Okay, look for fully dash choices. So an adjective is needed, which is rational, right? Look for fully rational choices. Look for fully rational choices. So yeah, rational is like logical. So A is correct. Rational, that's an adjective. Rationale is not required here. Rationality, so we can rule these out. Pick the most appropriate. Okay, is there any difference between these two? L and no, E and L and E. What do you think? Find out and write it in the chat box. Maybe there's a difference. There's a difference in meaning. Maybe NALE is a wrong spelling. Maybe there's no word like that, or maybe a different meaning. Find out and write it in the chat box, in the comment box. Pick the most appropriate word to fill forth in the given passage. With, by, at, up. With, by, at, up. Let's see. Okay, so there is considerable evidence powerfully presented. For example, with, by, yeah, on, और क्या options हैं? Sorry, at and up. So definitely by should be the correct answer, because the examples are presented by somebody. Na? Preposition is needed here. So by is the correct answer. So presented, for example, by Slovak. So yeah, by is the correct answer here. Okay, so we again have a passage. It says that literary criticism does not necessarily have to choose between textual, verbal और contextual study. ठीक है, एक एक लाइन को अच्छे से याद रखो, समझो, रिटेंशन जरूरी है कि literary criticism जो है it does not have to choose between three things. The three things are textual, verbal and contextual study. The distinction between the two types of linguistic meaning is seen at two levels, formal and contextual. Okay, so any distinction between the two types of of the linguistic meaning is seen on two levels. Two levels क्या है? Formal and textual. Formal meaning in poetry is the level at which stylistic patterns occur, but these are not restricted to mere forms. ठीक है. Panini discusses in a few sutras scattered over his works the influence of the concept of language in various pairs of suffixes, primary and secondary derivatives and compounds. क्या है? Poetic is also indebted to grammar for the terms jati, which is genus, kriya, which is action, guna, which is quality, and dravya, which is individual and substance, which it uses in connection with certain poetic figures or while dealing with the expressive function of words. Literary criticism in the Sanskrit tradition has been understood to be a shastra, by which is meant by systematic, well-formulated body of knowledge. A sastraic exposition, or sastraic basically, it's a writing about shastras, right? So a sastraic exposition is supposed to involve inquiry into the nature of substance, nature of language. ये याद रखो because it sounds important. And the validity of critical statements. Thus, a basic understanding of the grammatical and philosophical issue is a prerequisite. Prerequisite is something that you do before doing the actual thing. For example, in order to write the exam, you will have to first prepare for it. In order to have the dinner, you'll have to prepare the dinner first. So that's the prerequisite to have dinner. You'll have to serve the food. Yeah. issue is a prerequisite for the understanding of critical questions. ठीक है, बेसिक से चीज़ें दी हैं जो कि नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करते करते अपन समझते रहेंगे. ठीक है. Which inquiries are undertaken in strike exposition, बहुत ही क्लियरली पीछे ही लिखा था. So mainly primary and secondary derivatives of compounds. No, it was written here, and it wasn't written for strike expositions. It was actually written for what do we say? That Panini discusses in a few sastras scattered over his work the influence of the concept of language is various pairs of suffixes, primary and these derivatives and compounds. So, which inquiry are undertaken in sastraic exposition? They're talking about undertaken. What happens there, right? So, exposition is supposed to involve inquiry into the nature of substance, nature of language, and validity of critical statements. Validity of critical statements. So B, D, and E. B, D, and E. So C is the correct answer here. B, D, and E only. Okay, next question. Which of the following statements are true about the given passage? चलो देखते हैं. A says literary criticism must use either contextual or textual study. Okay, so no, that's not true. If you remember the first line of the passage, it states exactly the opposite, right? Exactly the opposite. We'll go back, but for now we can reject A, right? So option A has to be rejected now. B says formal and textual are two levels and help in ascertaining linguistic meaning. Yes, that's absolutely true. एकदम लिखा ही है सामने. I'll just take you back now. So this does not, literary criticism does not necessarily have to choose between this. So yeah, we can rule out A. And then the distinction between the two types of linguistic meaning is seen at two levels, formal and contextual. So yeah, yes, so this one is correct. C says critical questions cannot be understood without a philosophical and grammatical understanding. This is given towards the it's given towards the end of the passage, actually at the most end. So yeah, I'll take you back once, but let's discuss first. So C is also correct. So this one has BC, this one doesn't have BC, so we can rule out C as our correct option. D says Panini has written in a compact format of sutras. He has written in a very scattered format, so it is written also. Let's go back. So Panini discusses in a few sutras scattered over his works. So it wasn't compact, right? And here basic understanding of grammatical and philosophical issues is a prerequisite for the understanding of critical questions. So yeah, so this can be rejected. B can also be rejected now. Bacha kya? D. So yes, obviously Sanskrit has a tradition of literary criticism for a language. Yeah, that's true. Where is it? Sanskrit tradition has been understood to be a sutra by which is meant in systematic, well-formulated body of knowledge, right? So yeah, here it is. So D is the correct answer. B, C, D. No. This option is given incorrectly. I'm so sorry for that. But yeah, B, C, E only. D and A are incorrect. While the passage mentions, that a few sutras scattered over his work, it doesn't state that, he wrote in a compact format, right? इसलिए हमारा we can, B is not true basically. As per the passage, which of the following was primarily discussed by Panini? Okay, terms like jati, kriya, gun, dravya. Okay, the impact of language on derivative words. Actually, that's true. Yeah, let's go back once. So here, discusses in a few sutras, blah blah blah, the influence of the concept languages in various pairs of suffixes, primary and secondary derivatives, and compounds. Poetic is also indebted to grammar for the terms. Ye ek alag, it's a different thing. So, as per the passage, which of the following was primarily discussed by Panini? So, A can be ruled out. Impact of language on derivative words. That's correct. Philosophical issues, critical questions, वो एक different aspect में दिया है, but primarily discussed तो B है, right? B, A, all these follow. The option number A also follows in a different way, but primarily B was given. Which word in the passage is cloze in meaning to being logical and true? Okay, just 1 second, we'll have to go back once. I read it towards the end. A sustaik exposition is supposed to involve inquiry into the nature of substance, nature of language, and the validity of critical statements. Validity as in logic, right? Logic. So, yeah, being logical and true, so validity would be the correct answer, because the term validity actually refers to something being well-founded, sound, or maybe something logically true, right? So D would be the correct answer here. Inquiry basically refers to a process of investigation. So A can be ruled out. B is formulated. Again, it refers to creating a, creating or maybe devising something. Yeah. So, formulating, एक method के through. So, C is compound. Compound basically refers to combining elements. जैसे compound noun होता है, right? तो compound elements, to combining elements and substances. So, C can also be ruled out in being logical and true, because statement के accordingly validity is the right answer here. Okay, next question. The next paragraph actually. So let's see. 26th, and now we will be going to question number 27. 26th. Did we skip 26 by any chance? Okay, 26 is next question, right? Okay, all great thinkers live and move on a high plane of thoughts. It is only there they can breathe freely. Okay. It is only in contact with spirits like themselves they can live harmoniously and attain that serenity which comes from ideal companionship. This is basically about being a sapiosexual. I have always thought that the strongest argument in favor of the Baconian theory was that no man, however indubitable his genius, could have written the plays and sonnets that have come down to us under Shakespeare's name, who had not the liberal education of Bacon. How this habit of intercourse with the gods make one impatient of mere men. The magnificent ideals that have ever haunted the human mind and give us our highest proofs of a future immortality by reason of the impossibility of their fulfillment here, are splintered into atoms by contact with life's realities. Hence comes our sublime discontent, if it may be spiritual or intellectual pride that is endangered on the high plane of intellectual life But whatever it is, it becomes inevitable, a habitual meditation on the vast problems that underlie human life and are knit into human destinies. It is easy to understand, therefore, why such thinkers fly or to the solitude of their own thoughts. It is basically talking about people who are intellectually, who are intellectually stimulated only. So if there is intellectual stimulation, they would like it. If not, they wouldn't like it. So why such thinkers fly to the solitude of their own thoughts or the silent companionship of the immortals, like the people who were, intellectual and they're no more. And if they care to present their views in prose or verse to the world, poems and everything, writings, that these views take a somber, no, it should be somber, BER, and melancholy setting from the pale cast of thought in which they were engendered. Okay, let's see. The passage is entirely for you to understand. It is easy to understand though. Ki, all the great thinkers, they live alone, they have their own, piles of thoughts and everything. That's the basically place where they can, live freely, they can live, harmoniously and all. He mentions about Shakespeare as well, and how he is, all the plays and everything he's written in it and he's presented. Then towards the end, he also talks about the pale cast of thoughts, right? So passage is something you remember the details and you go to the questions and you answer them simply, because there is no difficult language used, there are no very difficult words used. So it is quite, it's like you read it, go to the questions, come back and see for yourself. According to the author, why do the great thinkers need to attain and remain at high plane of thoughts? So according to the author, he's asking, right? Now we'll have to figure out why high plane of thoughts, right? Why high plane of thoughts? Because it brings in harmony, it brings in, what did he say, serenity, right? They kind of, what do we say? Let's explore the options also. Only then we would be able to understand better. Because they want to enjoy harmony and serenity. Yes, that's absolutely written right in front of us. Because the experience of greatness makes them impatient of being ordinary men. Yeah, that's true. Why do great thinkers need to attain and remain at high plane of thoughts? So, hence comes our sublime discontent. It may be spiritual or intellectual pride that is engendered. Did I say endangered by any chance? So I'm sorry, engendered on the high plane of intellectual life. So there's discontent. So yeah, they cannot be ordinary people, right? So B also makes sense, impatient of being ordinary men, because the high plane of intellectual life instills a spiritual and intellectual pride in them. Yes, absolutely true. So A, B, C are correct. D, maybe because they are apathetic to commoners and solely eager to attain lofty ideals. No, that's not true. They do not talk about them being apathetic to the ordinary people. The author does not mention anything like that. So the magnificent ideals that have ever haunted the human mind. Intellectual pride is there. Yeah. Yes, so A, B and C only. So A is the correct answer here. What does the phrase the pale cast of thought mean? Okay. Pale cast of thought. अब अपन को इतना तो समझ आता है कि talks about deep, serious thoughts, that these views take a somber and melancholy setting of the pale cast of thought in which they were engendered. Yeah, so it would be related to serious, deep, and prolonged thinking. So let's see. State of mind during sickness, sudden and quick flash of thought. No, they are very intelligent people. They do not have flashes. Happy end, just 1 second. What is this? Disillusional? Disillusional state of mind. No, that's not true. Unhappy? Nah. Though the what do we say? The author has written that these views take a somber and melancholy setting, which is sad. But he says that melancholy setting of the pale cast of thoughts, but that means they're very prolonged thoughts and serious thoughts and deep thoughts, right? So D would be the correct answer here, not this. Do not, just because they've written melancholy, do not misunderstand C as your correct answer, because state of mind is not unhappy. Okay, given below are two statements. Okay, one, the author upholds the Baconian theory because, according to him, despite being a genius, Shakespeare could not write the play. Yeah, and sonnet that have come down to us under his name. So, however indubitable his genius could have written the plays and sonnet that have come down to us under Shakespeare's name, who had not the liberal education of Bacon. So yes, one is correct because they're asking both. Statement 1 and 2 are correct. So 1 is definitely correct. So is correct, incorrect, इसको हटा सकते हैं हम, इसको हटा सकते हैं हम, ठीक है. 2 says he holds that Bacon was more resourceful than Shakespeare because he had the liberal education. Yeah, that's true because he compares now. Yeah. Here, I have always thought that the strongest argument in favor of the Baconian theory was that no man, however indubitable his genius, could have written the plays and sonnets that have come down to us under Shakespeare's name. So he's kind of making a comparison here. So, yep. So 1 and 2 are correct. Okay. Given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. Okay, and we need to find out which one is what, right? And even if it is what it is. Okay, so the passage presents a rationale behind the great writers. Reason, flight to the solitude of their thoughts and silent companionship of immortals. Yeah, that's true. The passage does make an assertion about it, right? So that's correct. It's correct. Let's find out. They do so because they are melancholic and naturally averse to ordinary humanity and disgust of okay, so they are not disgusted, right? They are not disgusted of unregenerated masses like the common people. They were not disgusted by masses, right? This is a distorted option, hence so yeah, A is correct but R is not correct, so C is the correct answer here. Alright, parajumbles, nice. So we have options A, B, C, D सारे पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. That is closely. A से start नहीं हो सकता. Almonds are commonly called nuts. Okay, इससे start हो सकता है. But they are actually seeds. And they, so yeah, B is the correct answer. इतना सोचने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. तुरंत मार्क करो, 10 seconds क्वेश्चन है, BCDA is the correct answer. Next, DD and CC. Okay, let's see. चलो, DD and C. Okay. For what? This can be rejected. D says our aim is to evolve not only an affluent society but an egalitarian, just, humane and compassionate society. Okay, we might think that our aim is that, so हम D को stand by पे रख सकते हैं. C says when we talk of investing in education, a question arises as what kind of education needs to be given to the youngsters. So now we can understand by after reading C that D has to come after C only, because it is actually telling about what kind of education is needed, right? So ये तो बाद में ही आएगा. So this can also be ruled out. So C के बाद D, our aim is, so they might talk, they're talking about the kind of education needs to be given to the, the question is about that कि किस तरीके की education दी जानी चाहिए. And D kind of explains that our aim should be that कि अपन को सिर्फ एक affluent society नहीं बनानी, but a society where there is compassion. ठीक है, तो CD आ सकता है, but we'll still read CB because it is given as one of the options. B says, so the need for the R is not only skill-based education but also value-based. So compassionate society, humane, egalitarian. So yeah, that is value-inspired, right? So definitely B will be coming after D only. Immediately आए, बाद में आए, पता नहीं, but B के बाद ही आएगा. So hence CBDA is the correct answer. ठीक है, पीछे वाले क्या, BCDA is the correct answer. Pick the part of the sentence with grammatical mistakes, which is grammatically incorrect. Okay, let's see. The economists were of the opinion. Okay. Were of the economist were. Economist तो singular हुआ ना, were क्यों आएगा, तो singular plural mismatch है, A हो गया, तो अपन B और इसको rule out कर सकते हैं. हमारे पास दो options बचे, B और C, तो दोनों में से कोई एक तो गलत है. That the government should give longer times to farmers, longer times ना, to pay the loan instead of waiving the entire farm loan. Okay, so A and B are, so A is the correct answer here, because obviously longer times, nah. Okay, list 1 को list 2 से match करना है, and we need to see, oh, all men are mortal. He was all alone. Okay, so we need to see, ये highlighted actually, कि all का क्या usage हो रहा है in all of these, in all of these statements. So statement number 1 says all men are mortal. So all men are mortal mean it basically modifies men here, right? So men is a noun. So it actually tells us which men. So all men, right? So obviously all here should be an adjective, right? So for should be for A, because which men, right? It tells us about which men. So all men. So it's an adjective here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then definitely D is the correct answer here. So see, they have given 3 passages, but easy questions, right? 10 seconds question दिए हैं उन्होंने, but बाकियों के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं. He was all alone when I saw him. So he was all alone. So all either actually intensifies alone, right? So it means that completely alone, all alone. So it actually modifies the adjective alone, right? तो alone यहाँ पे एक adverb हुआ. Third one, all spoke in his favor. All spoke मतलब all here stands for stands in place of all people, right? That all spoke in his favor, so it stands for people. It does not modify a noun, it replaces it here, right? So all is a pronoun here. He lost his all in speculation. He lost his all, matlab all means everything, right? So it is being used as a thing, as an object. Definitely it's a noun because wahi bacha. So yeah. Okay, next. Up for grabs. Okay, up for grabs. Are you up for grabs? Okay, is something up for grabs? So something, if something is up for grabs, that means something is available if somebody wants to buy it, right? That is what it means. For example, you must have heard your friends saying, or somebody, or you also might use that, ki, are you up for grabbing a coffee? Are you up to grab a coffee? That means, you know, are you interested in having a coffee, right? So A ka 4 hona chahiye. 1, 3, 2, so definitely 4. B ka is third. Make hay while the sun shines, so to use opportunity while they last. C belongs to 2. Become out of control, go haywire. D is 1. Get off lightly, so to be punished less severely than expected. Yeah, true. Okay, so question number 34 says, I shall speak, I shall have spoken, I shall, and the tenses. Okay, I shall speak, if we talk about it, the structure here is shall plus the verb ka first form, which is verb ka base form. ठीक है, तो it is simple future, right? Simple future tense. So 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so इन दोनों में से इनको अपन रिजेक्ट कर देंगे, इन दोनों में से एक होना चाहिए. I shall have spoken. So shall have spoken में आया shall, have spoken plus verb का third form, right? So future perfect, future perfect tense हुआ fourth, B का fourth. So yeah, C is the correct answer here. I shall have been speaking, so have been plus verb ing, तो future perfect continuous हुआ ये. Future perfect continuous 1. I shall be speaking is shall be plus verb ing, that means it's future continuous. So third, yeah, that's correct. Okay, all right, this was all for today, and I hope you all are well. I hope everything's good. Read the RCs and everything, read the questions, learn everything which is worth learning. Like some things are supposed to be learned, and some things are supposed to be, you know, you just read them, you just see them, and it's like, okay, ab mujhe yaad hai. Some things are meant to be learned consciously. You just sit and learn them, right? तो phrasal verbs याद करो, उनके सही usage याद करो, idioms याद करो, rules याद करो, ठीक है? If you have any doubts, any questions, just comment down below. All right, all the best. I'll see you in the next class.